What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and today we are going to be taking a look at Nio Stock. Now, the EV market as a whole has been pretty insane today, as it has been for the last few months. But today in particular, I want to speak about Nio, their most recent delivery numbers that have came out, the absolutely parabolic growth they have seen over the last couple of years, and also what a couple of their peers are doing. I also want to stress the good and the bad, some of the risks going forward with Nio that a lot of people seem to forget about, but also a lot of the things they've done to de-risk this stock going forwards. Again, I'd like to apologize about my voice. I have been pretty sick since the 26th, 27th of December, and it has led to my voice going away, but I want to get back, want to make the video for you guys. So here we are. Hopefully you can look past it. If you just look over here where my mouse is shaking violently, you can see a lot of what the EV stocks have been doing today. Mullen again running away, Arrival with a big day, but most of the bigger names are having a very poor day today in general. Tesla as well is not on this particular EV watch list, but Tesla is having a terrible day as well. Nio is down about 1.38%, but they were actually up considerably in the pre-market, so quite a poor day all in all for the EV industry, my friends. But we don't invest for days, we invest for years to come, and that is what we're going to be speaking about and focusing on today: Nio's record deliveries. And right before we do get into that, can I please ask you to hit that juicy like button for our first real video back. I'm coming at you guys with a video every day in January. It's gonna happen. Even if I lose my voice completely, we're making it happen somehow. So please just do hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here and you end up enjoying this video. So Nio sets a record with 15,815 deliveries in December. So that's a record monthly delivery, up 50% year over year. So just under 16,000 vehicles. And again, sorry if I'm cutting a lot, if this is a very edited video. It's just because I need to cough every like 3 seconds. The deliveries consisted of 6,800 premium smart electric SUVs. Now this is important and is something we are going to elaborate on shortly, and why again this is going to be important going into next year and through 2025. And then also premium smart electric sedans, including 1,379 ET7s and just under 7,600 ET5s. The electric car maker delivered 40,000 vehicles in Q4, up 60% year over year. And for the fiscal year 2022, the company delivered 122.48 thousand vehicles, increasing 34% year over year. On vehicles aside, as of the end of December, Nio had deployed 1,315 power swap stations, 1,228 power charger stations, with 6,200 chargers and just over 1,500 destination charging stations, with 7,100 chargers worldwide. So a lot of updates there, a lot of very positive things coming from Nio. Now, what I'd like to point out about Nio quickly is just we just went through the sales there. So we see 15,800 vehicle sales in December 2022. We see 40,000 for the quarter. I have up here, if we go back to the May 28, 2020 quarterly results, we can see their deliveries there for Q1 2020 were at 3,800. This growth has been absolutely immense. Now, people were disappointed with this growth, and Nio saw a sell-off last week because this news happened. The company said that they expect to deliver 38,500 to 39,500 vehicles during the fourth quarter, down from previous guidance range of 43,000 to 48,000. But again, when you compare that to only 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the growth has been absolutely immense. And I've seen people online and I've seen analysts speaking about the disappointing growth after, you know, being brought down from 43 to 48,000 vehicles to 38,000-ish. The growth is still absolutely immense, my friends. Now again, Nio as a startup, I am not going to act like there are no risks here. There are an absolute ton of them, a lot of which I've highlighted from their latest annual report that I want to bring you guys through in particular, but we're going to save that for a little bit later on. But still, we can't look past that level of growth. Now, why did they come out and say that they're going to deliver less vehicles than expected in the first place? In December 2022, the company has been facing challenges in deliveries and productions, together with certain supply chain constraints caused by the outbreak of the Roni variant in major cities in China. While our teams have strived to maintain continuous operations on all fronts, we were not able to reach our full capacities, particularly when there have been disruptions on delivery and registration procedures involving users. Now, this is contrast to what we've seen happening with Tesla, where for the first time, really, they are producing more than they are able to sell. We see two issues, two very different issues, but still two very real issues from both companies here. But that's the reason Nio have been selling off lately. Now, that is obviously very good for Nio. We also did see, however, Li Auto announce record monthly deliveries in December. Last time BYD reported deliveries, which they should do so again within the next week and a half or so, they had reported record deliveries. So, I mean, it's partially record deliveries because there are just more people buying vehicles. And I think you need a reality check. You need to, you know, see that Nio is doing well, yes, and they are keeping up to date with competition, etc. But everybody is increasing and having record monthly deliveries because more people are buying cars. Now, with that being said, not quite everybody. Xpeng did announce just under a double increase in their December delivery numbers. If you've been following them, you'll know that their November numbers were absolutely terrible. They have been a funny stock to keep your eye on as of late, but they're not hitting records again just yet. Now, Nio had some other good news to report besides beating its Q4 2022 delivery forecast. Now, again, keep in mind, they didn't really beat it because they had only brought it down only a number of, not even 2 weeks earlier. The monthly sedan deliveries are on track to exceed 10,000 EVs in the first quarter of fiscal year 2023. Now, why is this important? Well, they sold 89 73 ET5 and ET7 sedans in December, showing an impressive month-over-month growth rate of 45.3%. Nio delivered 7,594 ET5s in December, which represents a 7.3x factor increase over the ET5 delivery volume in October, which is when the company delivered 1,030 ET5s. October was also the first full month of production and deliveries for Nio's second sedan product. Sedan is going to be a huge market in general and is one that Nio will want to be a very large portion of their sales, full stop. Nio also hit another crucially important milestone as well in December. For the first time ever, sedan deliveries accounted for more than 50% of total deliveries. The actual sedan delivery share was 56.7%, and given the momentum in Nio's EV sedan sales, I believe Nio could easily exceed a 60% share next month. As Nio launches new SUV products in mid-2023, delivery of Nio's sport utility vehicles are likely to receive a boost. Everybody who is a Nio investor should be happy to read this, but again, that's not a surprise. That's something we're all aware of. That's why you invest in these companies early on. Is when things like this happen, you're obviously already in there and you can get that boost. Again, I really just don't think we should be overlooking the delivery growth here, the sales growth, my friends, the revenue growth. Again, I have 11th of the 1022 here. Quarterly total revenues reach 1.827.8 million US dollars compared to what was 193.8 million US dollars. Insane growth. We already went through the delivery growth. I mean, it's more than 10x quite literally in only the span of a couple of years. And that again is you're investing in Nio at an early stage of his life cycle, but it really is getting to that stage where it's getting ready to catapult going forward. Considering how well they've handled everything that China has had to throw at them, the Roni has had to throw at them, they have done particularly well. Now, before we do get into some of those risks I was speaking about earlier, I would like to speak about analysts coming out, okay? Because I think this is really important. So this came out December 30th, last Friday. Several analysts recently weighed in on Nio. UBS Group cut Nio from a buy rating to a neutral rating and lowered their price target for the company from $32 a share to $13 a share in a report on Thursday, November 17th. Okay? Mizu lowered their price target on Nio from $34 to $28 and set a buy rating on the stock on a report on Tuesday, December 20th. Again, a lot of these we've covered on the channel, but we can see a lot of things being changed here. But overall, 3 equity research analysts have rated the stock with a hold rating and 12 have issued a buy rating to the stock. Based on data from MarketBeat, the stock has a consensus rating of moderate buy and a consensus price target of $23.52 a share. They are currently sitting sub $10 a share, a consensus of over $23 a share. And that is including a lot of analysts who used to have $30 and $40 price targets, updating their price targets. Again, if you followed this channel, there's been many times I've spoken about analysts, and I never really liked people speaking about the consensus price target because a lot of time it was in the high 30s, if not even early 40s. Because when Nio was on, you know, its crazy runs, when Nio was, you know, back in the good old high days. Sorry, I'll get this back to 4-hour chart, even we can see it, you know, when it was in the 60s, when it was in the 50s for a decent period of time. You were seeing analysts left, right, and center come out, up in the price target, getting the hype, blah, blah, blah. And some of them never upgraded it or never updated their analyst. That's why it was always bad. Whereas now we know we've seen one come back, $32 down to $13 a share, 34 down to $28 a share. We see one that was $42 a share, bringing it down to $11.27 a share. But again, I'm actually happy to see this because we can get a more realistic picture of what is going on and what analysts actually have to say about Nio Stock as a whole, my friends. So again, right now, that consensus for the first time in a long time is probably a relatively accurate number in regards to what the broader, you know, analyst feels is going to happen with Nio, which is awesome. Now, again, this is something that people don't speak about often or don't look at often because it can be a little bit more boring. But in any annual report, you're going to find risk factors and a summary of risk factors. Now, there are an awful lot of these. Again, if you want to do some light reading for yourself, I recommend you go and do it. This is from their most recent annual report. From page 16, you can go through it all. I've just highlighted some important risks. So when it comes to somebody like Nio, you're going to ask yourselves, what are the risks of them? And if we just think, you know, from a common sense point of view, financials and regulatories are ones that people should be thinking of straight away. So just any potential financial issues that could happen in the near future. And that can be summed up by a lot of things, but ultimately it just means not having enough cash and that putting your business in a bad position. Whether that means, you know, having to take some bad debt on or having to, you know, take a bad deal on with certain companies, things along those lines. With China being, you know, with Nio being a Chinese company, people are always going to be worried about the regulatory side of the stock itself. So that's one thing you're always going to be a little bit concerned about with Nio. And then we obviously have production risks. That's where we stand right now. That's just the way the EV landscape is overall. That's not just for Nio. It's for pretty much everybody. Again, this is the first time I remember seeing any company not having production risk was Tesla this quarter pretty much. But yeah. And then another one you're always going to be thinking about is their tech and their ability to sell. But right now, Nio has fantastic tech and they clearly do have the ability to sell, hitting, you know, recent monthly record sales. But let's get into some of the more risks, some of the risks related to our business and industry, not just the common sense risks. We have not been profitable and have only recently generated positive cash flows from operations in certain periods. Obviously, as an investor, this is a risk you need to be aware of, especially considering, you know, most people want to be investing in those cash flow positive businesses. This is essentially one risk that just goes to show this is a high risk, high reward play. And if you see this on a large majority of companies, that's going to point to the same exact, you know, takeaway point. The unavailability, reduction, or elimination of government and economic incentives or government policies which are favorable for electric vehicles and domestically produced vehicles could have material adverse effect on our business, financial condition, operating results, and prospects. And I mean, yes, quite evident to see. We saw it when Tesla were no longer available for the $7,500 tax credit. It's back now. But that hurt the business straight away. I mean, simply put, they're not going to be able to sell as many vehicles. They're not going to be taking in as good of a margin. So yeah, that's just one example of where government, you know, can really help or really break a company in the short term. Any delays in the manufacturing and launch of the commercial production vehicles in our pipeline could have a material adverse effect on our business. How many companies at the startup stage have you seen crash to the ground because of this exact reason? Now, Nio is not going to crash to the ground because of a delay in a product coming to market. They are already too established, but it's still one to be aware of. We may face challenges providing our power solutions. Of course they may. Everybody may. We are dependent on our suppliers, many of whom are our single source suppliers for the components they supply. And again, we've seen this so many times over the last 2 years with large and small EV companies. We've seen it with pretty much every single one of them, especially if they did only have one source for a particular component that they need. And then we also have risks related to doing business in China, changes in China's political or social conditions or government policies could have a material and adverse effect on our business and result of operations. Obviously, you know, it's quite clear to see. Again, things we've seen a million times over the last year. This was one thing people were always afraid of, say when Donald Trump was in office. Although there never really was any serious tension stock market wise there. People wise, maybe different story. And risks related to our business and industry. Our ability to develop and manufacture vehicles of sufficient quantity and appeal to customers on schedule and on a large scale is still evolving. And again, I think that's a really important one just to remember, guys. But they are some of the more important risks I would just want to point out when I read through these risk factors. But again, there are so many more that you should be aware of as an investor if you do want to, take it seriously. But my friends, that is my video on Nio as of this moment in time. I think they're at a very interesting price point. I think that 2023 is going to be a very good year for them. If you did watch this video all the way to the end, you, my friend, are a true legend. I really do appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. Please do hit that like button if you enjoyed, comment for more, and subscribe if you're new around here. I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day. I'll see you with another video very soon. Peace.